Wasn't that just so cinematic? What's up, guys? My name's Andrew. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're gonna do a little bit of talking about active rev matching. I got audio set up and it's time to go for a drive. This is the third time doing this, so third time's the charm. Please don't rain. Okay, so before we get things started here, let me go ahead and I know there's a ton of videos already online and they pretty much all do the same thing of just showing you, you know, yes, in every manual transmission, you're going to still get the paddles attached to the steering wheel. They're going to say rev match on them, and that's all they're for. You can use either paddle to activate or deactivate the rev match. I get it, I understand, but there's nobody else going in depth on it and showing you the pros and cons and actually using it on a day-to-day basis, because I have intentionally been using this. I tried it for 1 month and I actually liked it so well. I tried it for a second just to make sure, and that's when I decided to make this video. So I made up a list, and before we get going, I'm going to try to I'm going to use the PDR. So I actually found a decent use for the PDR. Huzzah, huzzah. The switches are mounted externally on the transmission itself. And I went back and reviewed and I tried to remember, but I couldn't see actually the switches themselves because they said that they're on the outside of the casing for each gear. So pretty much you can feel once you activate the rev match that the contact points when you go into each gate, it's pretty much you've got one contact point for neutral, and then as it goes into each gear, because this thing it's really fast, and you can feel it you know, actually blip the throttle, and not just like blip the throttle and let the throttle hang. It dials in, it knows all, it takes in, it calculates all of the ECM, the TCM, you know, off of the LSD, all of the parameters that it needs to find, and it will target the actual correct RPM. And this thing is amazing. And I don't know why anybody else hasn't talked about it as much. So yeah, before we get going here, I just wanted to kind of give you a rundown of you can sit back and watch the thing work, especially like cruising through a parking lot or whatever. You notice that you've got the engine speed and you've got the vehicle speed. You know, everything else gonna be the transmission, the chassis, you know, all the vehicle speed sensors, input, output, blah, blah. And when the car is moving, it nudges up past what it thinks the engine speed's gonna it's gonna need to be at to put you in the optimum power band or the torque curve. It will actually it will bump the throttle up, and it will try to keep you in that sweet spot, that prime territory, that Goldilocks zone. So there are a couple pros and cons, but let's get going here. I'm gonna use the audio setup. The cool part about it is I actually live right by, it's the only one in Iowa. It's a crossover, and you'll see here it's off ramp, on ramp, right off the interstate, shaped like an X. I'll put a video up. And it's supposed to reduce traffic congestion down by like 20-something%, but they did time studies, and supposedly we only got the only one in Iowa, and you can pull some pretty decent G's in it. So let's get going here. Put it in track mode here. Take the parking brake off, and we'll get going. So today I didn't forget all of my equipment today, so that's good. You can notice all the burbles of them. I swear to God, I've had this car almost a year and those burbles still don't get old. So what we're gonna do is we'll just hit the interstate real quick. We'll run up and we will, like I said, I'll show you how the thing will help you in the corners. Talk about some of the pros, some of the cons. So I guess in reasonable fashion, I guess the best way to start this out would be the cons. And I would say my biggest complaint about it is I have to activate it every time. So it's pretty much just another part of your startup routine. And man, auto manufacturers, we are like 10 years into this. We are like 10 years into this. The cars should have memory to just start up the way it got turned off. Or so you would think. Another con would be the car. You'll see it keeps the car on its toes, and like I said, the RPM, it keeps it in that sweet spot, but in order to do so, it's constantly predicting what you're trying to do. So therefore, the car always has to be like I said, on its toes. It has to be ready. It has to be like predicting what you're gonna do and thinking 2 steps ahead of you. So therefore, it's always hunting for that perfect RPM, and it's kind of trashes your gas mileage. So, but other than that, there's really no con to it, other than it's a pain in the butt to start every time. It'll trash your gas mileage, and you know, sometimes it won't let you manually flip the throttle. It'll take control, but that's whatever. But here we go. We're gonna come into the first corner, and I know they got cameras here, so I'm not gonna. But you see that, how it helps you stay in the throttle, and you don't have to worry about heel towing. You can just stay in it, and you don't have to worry about nothing. It's that simple. It's amazing. I love this thing. So now, time to get into the pros. And the one thing I love about it is this is going to make you a better driver right out of the gate, just like that. So it is going to make it much more appealing to new drivers, and it's just another little gimmick or feature that is going to help save the manual, I believe. As a matter of fact, if this was a feature, I would have rather paid $1,300 for this more so than that super sweet PDR. The one thing I love about it, and as you've seen when I was back there in the curve, when I was shifting through the gears, and just like that. I'll show you here. It finds that perfect RPM, and when you're heel towing manually, this place turned into the Indy 500 or something. But when you're heel towing manually, you're getting the RPM up, you know, close up in the approximate range. So I mean, it's better than nothing. It's better than just, you know, letting the engine go limp and then frickin' trying to, you know, engage the gear, drop the clutch. But this thing will find the perfect RPM, and that's what people don't understand, and that's what people don't talk about. Because, like, so this thing, in the end, in the end, it will save you on your clutch. And, you know, as I said, you know, that it will kind of trash your gas mileage. I drive about 20 miles, yeah, I'd say about 20 miles to work. And if I fill up Sunday night, a tank of gas will last me. Let's see if we can't get it. anyways, a tank of gas will last me an entire week. That's pretty good for a 378 cubic inch, 6.2 with 373 gears. But throughout the week, I will sacrifice maybe a trip to work or a trip, from work to home. That's about how much it costs me, and that's what I've noticed the difference is. So, it's really not that big of a deal. Well worth the sacrifice in my end. Well worth the sacrifice to me, I'm sorry. Because I would rather pay at the pump and pay it forward rather than having to do a clutch on this thing, because I don't care what car it is, the clutch is a big job and it's going to be expensive unless you know how to do it yourself. And therefore, I would make the argument that it's much easier to pump gas than it is to put a clutch in my car. Hear that? Another feature that I love about this is I don't know how it does it, but it will find that perfect RPM. Let's see if I can. And it will just ride the burbles out. It really does it. When in bumper to bumper traffic, it's when you notice it the most, but I don't know if it's because I'm going downhill and it's kind of forcing the motor, but see if I'm coming up to a stop, a T intersection here, so let me see if I can't get it to do it. I got some train tracks across, but this feature, there you go. I love this thing. So I know this feature is kind of coming. I know the Mustang has it. It's becoming more and more popular. I know Porsche's got a really good one. It's supposed to be very good. I haven't been able to drive any one of those yet. I know the 718. They said that it works really well in the GT4. So. But anyways, that's all I have, guys. Thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Please subscribe, give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or you want to see this car do anything within reason, hit me up in the comment section, and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a good day, guys. Later.